The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
A&B Properties is Quincy's largest apartment rental company with hundreds of units available. They offer short-term and long-term rentals with 1 up to 4 bedroom apartments. A&B Properties meets the needs of its tenants with care, compassion, and a quality of service that exceeds expectations. A&B Properties also has a convenient tenant app for you to do your payments or make repair requests. Give them a call today. A&B Properties, 217-919-8080, Quincy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Muddy. I'm Ashley Conrad, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down and speaking with a hero.
I
knew he would hate that, so I had to say it. But of course, I'm sitting here with David Adam, and David, you recently have received. You're the recipient of an award, and
Yes.
it is a big award. Maybe not in your mind, right?
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, anyway, so it is called, the award is a Sunshine Hero. And give us just a little rundown of what, not necessarily what a Sunshine Hero is, but what the sunshine, what this award means.
It basically, if you want to put it in Illinois terms, it's the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah, FOIA.
And it's just called differently in Missouri. And basically, it's, from my understanding, it's an award given to people in the media who effectively use the Freedom of Information Act to tell a story.
Right.
And
to guarantee transparency,
Well,
holding people accountable.
absolutely.
I mean, the FOIA and the Sunshine.
Yeah.
So when you're, being modest and humble about the hero, you may not be saving babies from fires, but you are holding people accountable.
Well, and I think that's what people need to know about what the award is. To be really quite honest. I mean, this is a group of people who are dedicated to ensuring that the Sunshine Law is used properly, it's used effectively, and it's just used. A lot of people don't understand it, so they don't use it.
Sure.
And so, I mean, it's nice to be recognized for your work. That's great. I hate the idea of the word hero. There was nothing heroic about what I did.
Well,
However,
maybe not to you, but
Right.
the story, and I know that you've utilized the Sunshine
or Freedom of Information
or
Act stuff,
FOIA,
yeah.
quite regularly. But one of the standouts was the article, the work, the collaboration with the parent of the Palmyra student,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and really, if anybody deserves recognition, I think it's that parent. And I'm not going to bring his name up. It's,
Sure.
I think anybody in Palmyra who read my work or knows about the situation, they know who he is. But it was just, we talked, and we had multiple conversations about what's going on, where to go, where to look. And he had a law background as well.
Okay.
So it was that definitely helped.
Sure.
And
we're talking about the coaching,
the coaching situation
in Palmyra.
The 4 coaches in Palmyra who were let go from their positions after it was discovered through the Freedom of Information Act or the Sunshine Law request that there was one school administrator who was using his school-issued, i.e. taxpayer-paid-for cell phone to have conversations with other coaches in which they used all kinds of
derogatory.
You just name it.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of startling to read about that story. I remembered working with the superintendent of the Palmyra School District. Jason Harper was great. He worked with me, got me the information when I asked for it. He was awesome to work for.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of information. There were 3 or 4 different sets of emails and text messages that he sent to me. Many of them didn't have anything.
Yeah.
But he had called me on the Friday that he was sending this to me, and he says, I think this might have what you're looking for. He says, but we're still putting it together. We got to go through and redact names and et cetera, et cetera. So just let me know. Well, that night I'm planning on taking the train to Chicago to go see my daughter. And I said, I'm not working on this when I'm going to go see my daughter.
Sure.
It'll wait until Monday. So about the time I get on the train here in Quincy around 5:30, sure enough, ding, ding, here it shows up in my email. And
You can't not look.
oh, and I couldn't not look, and so I'm looking at it, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna touch this. I'm on my way to go see my daughter. I had some other things to do, and I said I will deal with this on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a big windstorm that night, and I want to say it was like outside of Mendota. A tree fell over the tracks, and so instead of getting into Union Station at, what's the train usually get in? Left for 10, 10:30, whatever.
Yeah.
We sat outside Mendota for like 5 hours. And so I got into the train station at like 3:45 a.m. Well, I had lots of time on my hands.
Yeah, sure.
So I sat there and went through it and got out the text and started writing it. And in a very bleary-eyed manner, I wrote that story sitting in a sitting on the Amtrak train outside of Mendota, Illinois for about 4 hours. And I remembered when I showed it to my daughter, and she was just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I mean,
flabbergasted.
it was, and I think that's what happened to a lot of people. Are like, I just couldn't believe that people would say those things and do those things.
Adults who are that close, in
To
close
kids.
proximity to kids and who are supposed to be role models, and it's just yucky. I mean,
It really
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But again, I've just got to tip my hat to the people from. There were several other people in Palmyra who were very helpful in letting me know kind of what was going on. It was. I think there were people there who knew there was something wrong, but they couldn't put their
Sure.
hands on it.
Yeah.
It took those texts to finally go, okay, now there's something here that
Sure.
is we can write about. And
But you facilitated that through your knowledge of Sunshine/FOIA,
true,
which I think
and that is what I
Yeah.
did. I really was very much a facilitator.
Sure.
And also I should thank Linda Geist. I've known Linda for years. My family is originally from Monroe City, Missouri. My dad grew up in Swinky, and so he knows everybody
Yeah.
over there. And I'd known Linda because her son was a football player. I'd covered high school football years ago. She was the editor of the newspaper in Monroe City, and now she works for the Missouri Department of Conservation, and she sends us stuff about outdoors issues and
Sure.
things like that throughout the state. And she had been following what we were writing and sent me a note and said, hey, I'm going to nominate you for this award, which I thought that's very nice of you. It's not necessary, but thank you for your time. And honestly, if Linda Geist hadn't taken the time to submit that to the Sunshine folks, we wouldn't be talking today about it. So
well, I'm
thank you
glad
to
she
Linda.
did. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Because I know, as I said before, you're a little modest about it because I think mostly the title. But I mean, it is. It is,
I get
especially
it.
to people who don't know how to use it, but rely on people like you to help bring these things to light.
Well,
I think it is a very big deal.
And I think that's, my brother asked me here not long ago, and he said, because a lot of people in this community still remember me writing about sports for
Yep.
years and years.
Mhm.
And when my brother asked me, he says, how do you like what you're doing now? And I said, I kind of feel like I have a little bit more of a sense of purpose.
Sure.
And I'm glad that what little I did in this process helped maybe start some healing in Palmyra. And I have to say, last week Palmyra was lost every game last year,
Yep.
and they won their first game last
Yay.
week. And I just thought, you know what, that's a community that really needs to heal. That last
Sure.
year was a really ugly year,
Yeah.
but you had to get through all of that to get to where you are now. And so that's what I'm glad that it helped with that.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what really we're trying to do
Absolutely.
here on a daily basis.
Right.
This is just the one that someone happened to say, hey, you used the Freedom of Information Act or the Sunshine Law, and we want to recognize you for that. But I'd like to think that we try to do that type of work all the time here. It just doesn't get recognized like we did at a state level.
Well, and I recognition is definitely not why anyone does
No.
a job like what you're doing, but I do think that it is necessary to point out these the extra efforts that you and everyone else here at MRN, the lengths that you guys go to bring transparency in the news to the local community. So you may not consider yourself a hero, but a lot of people might. So there you go. And there's only 3 people that got this. So that makes it even more prestigious,
well, and
right?
the fact that there were 2 people from the Post-Dispatch, which is obviously the biggest newspaper in the state, got the other 2 awards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this isn't a small thing. I guess I just want to make sure that people understand. I know that there are still people in the Palmyra community that are not happy about the way this happened. There was a longtime trusted coach who lost his job because of this. And I think it's important to know that that's why these laws are in place.
Yeah.
So someone just can't do that. Yeah. And that we send out Freedom of Information Act requests all the time.
Right.
And a lot of them come back and you go, oh, that's nothing. Okay, move on to the next thing.
Sure.
Every once in a while you find something like this and it gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, which, you're always going to have 2 sides, right? Some
Oh,
people are going to be
absolutely.
appreciative and some people aren't. But, I mean, it's here for a reason, the FOIA, the Sunshine. It's here to, encourage that transparency and hold people accountable.
And other people
I
can
think
do it
that's
too.
great.
It doesn't necessarily have to be me.
It doesn't, but not a lot of people know how to use it efficiently. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's where we've done it more often. So
Right.
obviously we're ones that can do that more often. But this is the type of thing, let's be honest, the person who helped me the most was a regular citizen.
Right.
Who was just, who he kind of knew, like, look, there's smoke. I just can't quite find the fire. And,
Right.
and it was just kind of asking the right questions and talking to the right people before we finally found the fire.
Enter David Adam. Case solved. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
She already knows. She already knows how much that
You're just loving this. No, but I mean, just from my personal perspective, thank you. I know that this is probably not easy for you to accept, but thank you for the work that you continue
in fact, Bob's
to do.
going to go accept it.
Yeah,
for me.
I know. I was just going to say, so there is an award ceremony.
Bob's getting the free meal out of it, and all the hosannas and pats on the back.
Yeah.
Good for Bob. That's
right?
good for him.
Well, and I mean, good for Muddy River News.
Yes,
because
and I really what I hope that this does is it shows this is not something that we just do once.
Yeah,
this is
we're
something that
dedicated
we're
to it.
trying to do all the time.
Yeah.
This is not we're not trying to dig up dirt. We're trying to dig up the truth.
Sure. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. And you, sir, are fantastic at it. So keep up the strong work, and we appreciate you.
She's playing hurt today, folks. So
Yeah.
she's give her some kudos.
Hey,
today
I don't
as
need
well.
kudos. Quit deflecting. You deserve the kudos. We're giving you all the applause. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you passing on in your acceptance speech. So thanks to the people who made this possible for you. So
thank you.
Excellent. All right. Coming up, I sit down with Emily Kite and Sam Doellman to learn a little bit more about Teens Encounter Christ.
Tower Pizza and Mexican offers a full menu of pizza, wings, and Mexican favorites. Try the shrimp tacos, fajitas, or a Jeff's special pizza. Extra sauce, pepperoni, sausage, ham, and mushrooms, all on their homemade crust. Tower Pizza and Mexican, 2701 Broadway, Quincy.
A great night's sleep starts at Harvey's Furniture. Check out the large selection of complete bedroom sets. And when it comes to mattresses, we have a full selection from Bemco, Spring Air, and Chatham & Wells. Harvey's Furniture. Our home, your home.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
Welcome to the Abbey, a Quincy tradition.
With 6 big screens, a new larger kitchen, and now more seating capacity, the Abbey is the place to be before, during, and after the big game. Come enjoy fan favorite appetizers, steaks, burgers, and a variety of daily food and drink specials. Can't join us? Carryout is available too. Now with a convenient drive-up window to better serve you. 1736 Spring in Quincy. Opens at 3 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday.
Come join all your friends at the Abbey, a Quincy tradition.
Instant Replay is your local sports bar. With 18 big screen TVs, we have all the sports packages from college games to pro games. We offer daily drink specials, and come check out the Bullpen, our newly renovated beer garden. Instant Replay, 2739 Chestnut in Quincy.
And welcome back. Joining me now, I have Emily Kite and Sam Doellman, and you two are with Teens Encounter Christ, or what is more commonly known, especially in that Teens Encounter Christ world, is Tech, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Sam and Emily, you have been involved in Tech for quite some time, is that right?
Yeah.
About 10 years? Okay. Can you give me just a quick rundown of what it is? And I'm sure you know a lot about it, but just button it up, right?
Yeah, so it's a 3-day retreat held here in Quincy, and it's centered around the Paschal Mystery. It's for 16 to 21-year-olds, and we just hope that they experience Christ's love over the course of the weekend. They listen to talks and witnesses, activities, and it's people from all throughout the tri-state area. And so they just, like I said, we have meetings leading up to it, but again, just for them to experience Christ's love.
Excellent. So you said 10 years. I'm not going to bust out how old you are, but so you've had experience with it. Can you give me kind of your personal, maybe your background? When did you start? What did you experience? How did it go?
Yeah, so I grew up going to parochial schools here in town, so I grew up hearing all about it. Just never was old enough, and once I hit 16, I was excited to sign up. Didn't really know what I was signing up for, but I was eager for it. So I went, had a great time, and just fell in love with the community aspect of it. Just all these amazing young people, adults that just wanted to be there to support you and just push love into you. And so that was the reason I started coming back, but then as I got more and more involved, it was more of that relationship with Christ that kept coming back. But the community is definitely what brought me back the first time.
Excellent. Sam?
Yeah, similar experience for me. My family is part of the Tech community. Growing up, I knew that was something that I was eventually going to be a part of. When I hit 16, I went on my first weekend, and that happened at a time where my life was kind of in flux. I just lost my grandpa, and that was very very tough for me. But when I went on my first Tech weekend, it was really centered around the idea of this community being a family, and I encountered Christ that weekend. I mean, it's cliche it being in the name, but
right.
I truly did, and there was no turning back at that point. I wanted to be involved as much as I could. Have since been on 11 weekends in that time, most recently last July being an assistant director. Also just any chance I can helping so other people can experience what I did my first weekend.
Absolutely. So facilitating kind of the fellowship, and when you're talking about people 16 to 21, there are so many changes going on in that time. So I think what you're doing with Teens Encounter Christ is kind of maybe even teaching people that it's okay that they bring lack of experience in Christ to this area, and you guys help them. Right? You help them on that journey, which I think is very, very cool.
Definitely. It's definitely a place to be yourself, not to have to worry about the pressures of high school and different things, and you get to figure out your relationship with Christ without all the pressures of other people judging you.
Absolutely, and we know that those are out there, right? Yeah. And it's ever increasing. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine that this is becoming more and more important and necessary in people's lives. So thank you for helping them on their journey as well. So how long has Tech been in Quincy?
So it's been in Quincy since 1971.
Okay.
Has been it's a national program. So we get a set of rules from this national Tech, and when it got brought to our area, we kind of just made it our own. And we've evolved and changed through the years, obviously. But throughout the country, this Great River Tech community in Quincy is realized as one of the greater communities, one in numbers, but also weekends. We have 6 weekends a year. Actually, Emily and I last summer were at a young adult workshop for National Tech in Chicago, and we got to speak with other people from other tech communities, and we were at least I was kind of surprised about some of the other communities and maybe their struggles. They only have a couple weekends a year, and it's the same people that are involved. We have, like I said, 6 weekends a year. It's different people involved in in each one. We have the whole tri-state area. Another thing I really like about Tech is multi-generational.
Yeah.
We've got, like I said, youngest to 16, but we've got people in their 70s or 80s. And again, from Mount Sterling to Fort Madison to Silex, Missouri. I mean, people from all over.
Yeah.
And me, myself, like as a teenager, creating a close friendship with people my grandparents' age.
Yeah.
And it's very special.
I bet. It sounds outstanding. And I know, not that they're 70, but Bob and Ellen Goff went into, he's giving me a choice gesture right now, but they went and experienced a retreat or helped out, right, on the last one that you were involved in?
The last weekend we had.
Observed, that's what it's called, yeah.
So they observed the last weekend, which was in July, Tech 340. So
Okay.
there's been 340 Tech retreats here
Wow.
in Quincy. And so, yeah, they got to experience that and observe it.
Now, so these weekends and these experiences, they aren't free, right? So, I mean, even things that, that we want to say, oh, well, the church, they should be doing this, right? It has a cost. Unfortunately, that is what it is. So how do you raise fund, or how do you get funding for these weekends to offer these experiences?
Yeah, so the last couple years we haven't done a big campaign. We've kind of just relied on our monthly giving and donors that we have along the way.
Okay.
But this year we're back and we're really pushing. Tech needs about $34,000 to just break even this year.
Wow.
We charge our candidates $50 to come on a weekend.
For the whole weekend?
Whole weekend.
Wow.
2 nights stay. 3
Lodging, food.
Yeah, everything.
Wow.
And it costs the program about $155 to put that on for that candidate. So we're losing a significant amount every time. But we find it so important that cost is never the reason that they're not going to come. So
Right.
that's why we have the need for it. So we're doing this campaign. We're going to be doing a telephone. We have a letter coming out, all sorts of different things. And this year we're going to be really pushing to try and break even and get the program back where it needs to be.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to donate, so when you're doing the letters and is it like a telethon type thing? Okay, so
Phone-a-thon, yeah.
Phone-a-thon, when is that happening?
Here this fall.
Okay.
Gonna get phone numbers together, and we've got a team, a committee for this going on, and it'll be sometime this fall. We don't
Gotcha.
have a date set yet.
Okay, cool. Well, you'll have to come on and give us a little more information about that. But in the meantime, if somebody wanted to donate, where would they go, or who would they call?
Yeah, so we have a website, greatrivertech.org. You can find everything on that website. All the events we do, all of our retreat weekends. We've got 6 a year. We also do Quest weekends, which are for 13 to 15-year-olds.
I've heard of that.
Just 24 hours. They stay overnight, really fast-paced. But again, it's kind of the precursor to Tech. This Quest, they go on it, kind of get a taste of what it might be like to go on a Tech.
Sure.
So we have those 4 times a year. But all the events and that are online. But also there's a giving page online. So it's greatrivertech.org/giving. Also, you can text give to, I haven't memorized this yet, 217-993-8301. Or we have a mailing address for checks. It's Great River Tech, P.O. Box 5152, Quincy, Illinois 62306.
Perfect. Yeah, and I mean, what better way than to help teens encounter Christ, but also to build those relationships with the other kids that are teens that are there experiencing the same thing. So I think it's very, very important, and I love the cause. I love that you are speaking out for it and hoping to raise those funds so that you don't have to turn anyone away, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. And you'll have to come back on and talk more about that phone-a-thon because
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, and more people should definitely get involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it for today's Daily Muddy. We'll catch you back here tomorrow for Club Muddy.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.